Dynamite!
It's Dynamite!
Wednesday night Dynamite!
So Dynamite!
This is awesome! This is this. Hey, everybody! Have a great time!
It's Dynamite!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony. Wednesday night Dynamite! What's up, everybody? Thank you, ECIII, for sending me the shirt so fast. Got to wear it tonight. The link is in the video section, you know, where I put the timestamps. If you want to order the shirt, all of the proceeds go to Brodie Lee's family. I think it's a pretty good shirt, you know? Yeah. What's up, everybody? Anybody remember 2-3 weeks ago, I said that I think in the first quarter of 2021, we will have a couple of quarter-hour ratings that exceed 1.8 million viewers. And by the summertime, we will have some quarter-hour ratings that will exceed 2 million viewers. If we don't get 1.7 to 1.8 million viewers at some point, some quarter tonight, I'd be awfully surprised. What a great night for pro wrestling, especially under the circumstances, what transpired today. Now, look, I want to get this right out of the way. Well, let's get this out of the way. What's up, everybody? Wednesday night Dynamite. I am Don Tony, as always. Yeah, we got to put the little graphic, you know, to make it official. We'll be doing very simple tonight. Reviewing AEW Dynamite New Year's Smash Night 1. And we will also review NXT New Year's Evil. That is it. Because if you're not aware of it already, we're going to start it tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. The contest is still going to name Thursday night. Now, I will tell you, yes, tomorrow I decided to do a format, something like this. You know, just a straight up live Q&A, live chat. Something tells me a lot of things that happened in Washington today might be on your minds, especially that controversial tweet, which to me isn't controversial at all, that I wrote earlier today. So, look, I make a deal with everybody out there. Let's keep politics. Let's keep Trump. Let's keep the White House. Let's keep all of that stuff off of tonight's show. Tomorrow, anything is allowed. Nothing is out of bounds. You want to talk movies? I'll talk movies. You want me to talk fish? I'll talk fish. You want me to talk about what happened today in Washington? I'll talk about it. But today, we just talk about NXT and AEW. I tell you, as the shows were coming along, you know, I was kind of tossed up as far as what I liked, you know, more. And I'll tell you, overall tonight, I got to be honest with you. If you take away the main event of Rey Fenix and Kenny Omega, I really didn't want to curse even once tonight, but I'd be doing that match disrespect if I didn't just say right off the bat, holy fucking shit. Definitely, I know we're only in January. Hey, it's January 6th. We're not even 7 days in 2021, and I honestly, truthfully think that match will hold up throughout 2021 and be looked at as one of the match of the year candidates. Everything was crisp. Everything was beautiful. I mean, some of the shit that Rey Fenix was doing, that last 5 minutes of that match was just fucking phenomenal. I mean, sure, maybe Rey Fenix kicking out 1 or 2 times, a little bit too much, and Kenny Omega kicking out, which obviously you knew he wasn't losing the belt. But, man, talk about an awesome match. Seriously. Talk about Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor. By the way, did anybody pick up on that at the very end after the match was over? I don't think Finn Balor kind of likes that referee all that much. Because if you read Finn Balor's lips, after Finn Balor won, he wanted the referee to lay the title in his hands like this. He's got, how Finn Balor poses in the ring and he's like this. And you see Finn Balor say, lay the fucking title in my hands. And then Finn Balor gets up and the referee tries to raise his arm and he's like, because the story of the match, Kyle O'Reilly, working mostly Finn Balor's arm, but towards the end, working his right arm as well. I don't know. It looked a little bit like Finn Balor was not enjoying that referee. Nothing against the referee, but I was a little surprised that they would use someone who is fairly, I don't want to say inexperienced, but you think you would use maybe one of your more veteran referees in NXT for a match like that. But if you only watched AEW tonight, I will tell you right now, I strongly recommend you check out NXT. NXT, let's be honest, some of the matches did not feel like a special event caliber, pay-per-view quality. I mean, the opening match of Karrion Kross versus Damian Priest was great. And I'm sure a lot of you out there already heard the rumors that WWE, everybody's sources is reading tweets, by the way, everyone. The Twitter world is saying that WWE is considering bringing Damian Priest to SmackDown. Hey, I could read Twitter too. I'm a journalist. We don't know if that's the case. I mean, if you think about it, there's been a lot of people that were supposed to make their debuts. Yeah, sooner or later, you get to the main roster. I told you. I'm telling you all right now, you heard it here before, but you're hearing it here now exclusively. I'm telling you it's going to happen. Mark my words. It may not happen tonight. It may not happen tomorrow. It may not even happen next year. But soon enough, mark my words, yours truly will be dead. And trust me, one day you're all going to say, he reported that right. He reported it right. Look, everybody, I know some of you out there really want me to comment about this Washington stuff today. I don't want to. I want to focus on AEW and NXT. We started off 2021 beautifully on Friday. We reined in the new year together. Had an awesome Thursday last week. We had an awesome Don Tony show on Friday. Had just a vibe that I can't even explain how cool it was. Monday with Mish was awesome. Yesterday, I kid you not, I'm not trying to be melodramatic over here, but yesterday, Mish and I on Patreon got so deep in conversation, I broke out crying. Yours truly legitimately was crying last night. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I lost it yesterday. Don't want to talk about it here. It's too much. Maybe tomorrow if you want it. But my point is that, we want to really keep that momentum going in 2021. And I tell you, Raw, what a shit stain of a way to open 2021. I like the legends. The legends, I always have a soft spot in my heart. I appreciated what Finn Balor said yesterday or today that, if you've been in this business, you made a big part in this business, you should always have a role somewhere, and Legends coming back once in a blue moon, so be he didn't have much of a problem with the Goldberg stuff. I mean, if you really want to be comical about it, you could say, yeah, but Finn, he's not facing you. He's facing Drew McIntyre. But, you could see how Wednesday Night Wrestling, why it's become my number one favorite night of the week. For me, and it's been like this for a few months now, Wednesday Night Wrestling is my favorite night of the week. Friday nights, I kind of like more than Mondays. I think the 2 hours, is enough where even if you're starting to get a little tired at some of the shit on Friday, you're off the air. It's not an extra hour. You know what it's like? It's like if you ever gone driving to like some long distance area that, you really look forward to, but you're like 2/3 of the way of the grind on the road and you're just exhausted physically, mentally, your ass is numb, you got to take a pee, and you just want to get to the destination already. And you think you're almost there and you're like, let me just stick it out, and then you realize you still got another hour to go. That's what Monday nights feel like for yours truly a lot. But man, I got to tell you, I enjoyed tonight's events. Now, Snoop Dogg, I don't know if that's the official. Is that a win? Because we heard bells ringing and the announcers said it. I put quotations in the results on the comments section, the description of this video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you could look. Or I could just tell you right now. Snoop Dogg, it wasn't a Superfly splash. Oh, and can we just get this out of the way? When Snoop Dogg climbed the top rope, all right, that looked like one of us that climbs like a diving board. When you ever go on a diving board in a pool and you climb the ladder and you've never climbed up to a diving board before and you've never dived into a pool, so you kind of like just go straight down leg first, but at the very end you try to like arc a little bit. All Snoop Dogg did was climb and look like he was diving into a pool, feet first, But, I don't know if it's in the record books that he actually pinned Serpentico. But when Chris Jericho kept saying, he can't climb to the top rope. Look how tall he is. He can't climb to the top rope. Look how tall he is. Yeah, look how tall he is. I mean, I understand his head is tilted back right now, like, yo, I'm S, N to the double O to the P, D to the O, double O, double G, blah, 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 blah. J, A, double R, E, double T, J, blah, blah, blah. He's not that tall, everybody. He ain't Big John Studd, he ain't, El Gigante. But I didn't mind seeing Snoop. I love Jericho trolling WWE today. Did you hear Jericho? Snoop jumped to AEW. Snoop jumped to AEW. Snoop jumped to AEW. I love it. I love it. I love some good-ass trolling. As long as you can handle the trolling back. Because there's people out there, you see it. They like to talk a good game and you give it back to them. They're like, motherfucker, son of a bitch, I'll blow your brains out. Have a Snickers bar. So anyway, I know some of you notice already. Sincere. Yes, with Tribute and Brodie Lee as well. But this is me slapping my heart. I thank you all for the kind birthday wishes towards my dad. For those that don't know, today is my dad's 72nd birthday. That actually is a picture of them from last night. They are currently in Florida, relaxing, hopefully getting the COVID vaccine and having a little bit of a dinner. It's funny, my father never wears hats in New York. But for some reason, when he goes to Florida, he puts on those hats. I got to get one of those hats. I got to wear it on the show. So happy birthday, Dad. Why am I pointing to this? No, I should be pointing down. Not hell, because Florida's down south. They're not dead yet. Neither am I. We're going to wreak havoc on this earth for a little bit longer. So, I'm not going to lie to you. My mind's been in a little bit of a different place today. Some of the stuff you see on the news, brings you down. But that's when you learn a new recipe or you play Uno or you prepare for the show today. You prepare for tomorrow. So I hope everybody is around tomorrow. If you're not doing anything, join me 9 o'clock. Now, I will apologize to everybody. We're supposed to pick 2 winners tonight. One from Wednesday Night Dynamite of 2 weeks ago, one from Thursday Night Dynamite from 2 weeks ago. Fact of the matter is that I completely forgot. I'm not going to kid you. But since we always do it every 2 weeks, and tomorrow's Thursday, and half of the contest is from Thursday's episode from 2 weeks ago, if I do it tomorrow, it's technically on schedule. So if you have not entered yet, do it. Do it. Because around 4 p.m. tomorrow, I'm going to pick the winners. So you know what to do. 2 weeks ago, go do it. And if you comment on each video, you get a shot in each one. If it happens that somebody wins both, good for you. $50 for each one. Going to give away 100. So anyway, I will say this. I turned on the TV for about 2 minutes today when everything was going down at the Capitol. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. When I saw them invading the chamber and then, saw this happening, I mean, I kind of popped and I'm like, I wouldn't have mind to have seen New Jack climb it and just dive onto those pieces of shit that invaded that chamber today. Come on. Now, people, that's a Photoshop. That is a Photoshop. That is New Jack on the top. So that is the only reference. That's the only reference you get tonight about what happened in Washington. So, no, Michael, we're not talking about it today. But I wanted to just show you the screenshot of New Jack diving off on top of those. Yeah, somebody photoshopped New Jack diving onto that Matarazzo that was in the chamber. So I kind of liked it. So I would have liked to have seen like the RKOs. Seriously. Would have liked to have seen people take a little bit more effort. So anyway, finally. See, I can't do The Rock. When I do The Rock and his finallys, I sound Jewish. Finally. I sound like Jewish. Get me filter fish. Finally. Impact Wrestling shows up on Dynamite. Finally. Fucking finally. Now, if you notice, I don't think they have any permission to use Bullet Club. They were skating that fine line at the very end. And I got news for you. I would not use the term Bullet Club. You got to understand something. It was awesome to see Gallows and Anderson tonight on Dynamite. It was cool to see them do the Too Sweet symbol, Gallows, Anderson, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. The problem is, how often are you going to see Gallows and Anderson on Dynamite? You understand what I'm saying? So if they're only going to build up for this pay-per-view, Impact Wrestling's hard to kill. You can do this all you want. It's a nice moment, but I don't know 2-3 weeks from now if Gallows and Anderson is back. And then what are you left with? You're left with what's going on here right now. What the fuck is going on with Adam Hangman Page in this storyline? Jon Moxley, what the fuck is going on with Jon Moxley? Yes, I saw the end with the barbed wire bat, and I'm writing this down as a timestamp so it makes it easier later on when I put up my timestamps. I enjoyed Jon Moxley at the very end. That should have happened a month ago. It should have happened a month ago. And I'm sorry if I upset anybody by saying this, but I took some notes tonight for AEW and NXT, and I'm going to talk about, and I tried my hardest to grab the lyrics of the Acclaim's rap tonight. Did you see social media get their balls in a bunch? Oh my God, they name dropped John Cena. Does anybody have a clue how many names John Cena would name drop when he was doing Thugonomics? He claimed he name dropped John. People were getting triggered, V-triggered on Twitter, T-triggered, if you want to call it that. I tried so hard to get the lyrics. The problem is my DVR doesn't go back for too long, and I had to play it in slow motion in order to even keep up with what the Acclaimed rap was. And the only thing that I was able to get, and keep in mind, I'm no hip hop guy. I'm not 25 anymore. I'm this Italian white older guy, from Queens, New York. So if I sit here and try to rap, it's going to be absolutely horrible. But for the Acclaimed tonight, they said something like, "We the John Cena guys, that's so petty. But we John Cena, the Young Bucks are Janettis. And Kazarian, your rhymes are whack. This shit sounds worse than a Snoop Dogg track." And then I couldn't figure out. I don't know what the hell they said after. Does anybody have any idea? Because I heard them say something like, blah, blah, blah is a thing of the past. And then make a new fetish of us whipping your ass. I think I'm the only person on the net that actually decided, yeah, I'm going to try to write down the Acclaim's lyrics. Seriously. I don't know, but let me get back to my Moxley rant. Moxley comes out early in the night. This sounds like a Christmas thing. 'Twas the night of Dynamite, and Jon Moxley comes out. He's looking on the floor, and he's ready to pout. He's walking about and about. He's singling out Kenny Omega and Don Callis. I'm calling you out. I'm trying to rhyme on the spot. I can't. You want to know something? Somebody saying I should be a rapper. This is a true story. 2 seconds. 15 seconds. Houdini. Anybody remember Houdini? The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out. You got a big mouth. A big mouth. A big mouth. Come on. Remember those songs? Friends. How many of us have them? Friends. Before we go any further, let's be friends. I used to love those guys in 85. And back in 1985, I went to Great Adventure in New Jersey, which is like an amusement park. And I kid you not, I wish I still had it. I might have it in a box somewhere because I still got my boom boxes and my tapes from 30, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, you know. So in Great Adventure, they had a booth that you paid like $15 and you went into a booth and it was karaoke. And you would do your thing. Nobody would be able to hear you. You'd go in the booth and do it yourself, and they would record it onto a cassette. And the cassette would just be one track. It would be the instrumental with you doing over it. So a bunch of my friends were getting it done. So I go in there, and I'm looking at the list, and I see Houdini's Big Mouth. So I'm like, okay, big mouth, big mouth. And I'm going, and it was the widest of rap that you could possibly think of. It was so god-awful. But yes, yours truly rapped in 1985. Moxley. Can I say it now? So Moxley comes out and he cuts his promo. He talks about how, you know, he could complain about his title loss. That's a waste of time because life isn't fair. All you can do is endure. Stand your ground. Bite your teeth. Grit your teeth. You stare down adversity. You don't back down. The motherfucker cut a John Cena promo tonight. The fuck is this sense of walking down other ways? You know, I can't go out through the locker room. I gotta light the shield. I gotta go over here. I do my own thing. I'm not leaving this ring. All those promos of him talking about his dad, Kingston's dad, my dad, your dad, blah, 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 blah. And after a fucking month, when you dwell in the past, you gotta pick yourself up, kick yourself off. Dwelling in the past isn't going to do nothing. You got to stay strong and bite your teeth and grind your gums and handle adversity. He cut a John Cena promo tonight. Am I wrong? Seriously, for the biggest AEW fans and the biggest Moxley fans out there, I'm sorry if I'm a broken record, but I think it was so important. It's so important. Just because you have an entertaining show doesn't mean that you're subtly damaging the characters that you built up. Sting fucking comes out again. I'm sick of this snowing, Taz says. All that happens is the lights go out and the screen shows snow. And here is Team Taz running out of the fucking ring. Seriously. It's like, just picture like the center of your room with a bunch of rats eating food, and you plug in one of those, you know, like rodent things that you can't hear it, but apparently it's like the streakiest, loudest sound to them, and they can't, and they just scatter. Do they realize how much damage they're fucking doing with Team Taz petrified of Sting this bad? And I'm sorry again for being a broken record, but Moxley, You look at Moxley's whole character. Seriously, think about this for a minute. Moxley, and I know the magazine is not what it used to be, but Moxley was ranked #1 on PW Insider. And that is because of the way he worked his ass off, his character, his persona, his I don't give a shit attitude. I take what I want. I do what I want. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Had great matches in Japan, in the United States. AEW did a great job building his character up. He was, like, people compared him to Stone Cold. People compared him to Stone Cold. A lot of you out there compared him kind of being like this version of Stone Cold. How many times you that? I'm sorry. I watched Stone Cold's entire career. I don't remember Stone Cold ever losing a match, going out there and saying, you know, what? You know, sometimes adversity, affects you. What? And you got to dust yourself off. Actually, the crowd would be going, what? What? They wouldn't do it like, what? No, they would be like, what? That's what the crowd would have done that time. Steve, you dust yourself off. What? You face adversity. What? You grind your teeth. What? The fuck was this tonight? After 5 weeks, Moxley's not trying to tear the house down. That should have been the next week. Stop with this. He got screwed because of a microphone. Here's a microphone. Here. What are you going to do? You shove it up Don Callis' ass. He looks like a car salesman. Motherfucker calls you the AEW heavyweight title. And it's name calling? That's what it is. AEW doesn't see this right now. But they've done a lot of damage to the inner circle. Even though I will be honest with you, Wardlow and Hager was the match I was looking forward to the most tonight. I kid you not. And they kind of had the match I expected them to have. Nobody moves. I enjoyed it. And yes, Omega and Rey Fenix tore the house down. But the thing is, the inner circle early on were popping some of the biggest numbers repeatedly of AEW. That's why Jericho called himself the Demo God. Anybody remember Demo God last year? That wasn't just to be a troll. They called him the Demo God because of the demos and the ratings. And then they started doing this whack shit that, the inner circle is bigger and better than ever. Then we go to Las Vegas and we get drunk and have sex with Hornswoggle and Geese or whatever it was. And Guevara's got married 3 times. And then 2 weeks later, we're going to break up if we don't get along. And then 2 weeks after that, well, no, they need to have a match to get it out of their system. What is this, X-Lax? They've done damage because when I get into the quarter-hour ratings of Inner Circle for the last month, have you seen the pattern? If you follow the shows, I know you have. So you keep doing this damage control. You can't. The challenge with wrestling is you want to elevate this person, but you also want to try to also elevate this person in some degree. And when people remember last year, Kenny Omega fighting someone for like 7-8 minutes on TV, and people were like, this should have been a 1-minute match. When Miro had his first match in AEW and it went like 10-12 minutes when everybody thought he injured his ankle, they're like, what is this? That's because their thinking is, okay, this is one of our top stars, but we got to make this star look like this during the match. No, if someone is all the way down here, there's nothing wrong with them staying down here during that match. What you don't want to have happen is you don't want that person to go even lower. Look at me on YouTube. It's a bad comparison. Look at me on YouTube. 80 to 85% of everybody who enjoys what I do checks it out audio only. And most of it is because you're driving, you're working, you're doing this. I don't think anybody wants to look at their phone and look at video for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's a lot easier to just hear it. You're doing laundry, you're doing this. That's what it is. But people still try to compare my channel to people that do mostly YouTube video only. So me, it's like, okay, this person on YouTube did 100,000 views on their video. I only did 9. But you know what? As long as I don't go to 8, 7, 6, if I stay at 9, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. If I go to 10, okay. 11, no problem. I don't want to do this. And that's the challenge in wrestling. And okay, you know, you want to create this unbelievable aura about Sting that doesn't need to be done. And they're doing this to Sting. And meanwhile, Team Taz, they look like goofs. They look like goofs. I'm sick of this shit. You son of a bitch, I'm sick of it. Snow, darkness, 61-year-old man with plastic bat. Ah! And you got 4 or 5 guys doing that. That's damage. That's damage. So, if Moxley would have gotten on the mic towards the end and would have, like, joked that what he said earlier was nonsense, that's different. But he cut after all of that buildup of the Moxley character and attitude for the last 14 months, he gets screwed because of a microphone, because that's the storyline pitch they want to keep insisting, by someone that doesn't work for them. And Moxley takes his ball and goes home for 5 weeks in storyline. And then he comes back, and the best thing he could do for the person that cost him the title is call him a used car salesman. You don't see anything wrong with that? I think I do. I do. Oh, Benjamin, I don't give a shit about that. Oh, you're talking about me with the subscriber to viewer ratio. Yes. There are some channels out there with 60,000 subscribers and their videos do 900 views. Something is wrong there, you know? Unless they went for like the 65 to 85-year-old demographic 10, 15 years ago and most of them died off. Maybe that happened. So anyway, so we get Moxley out of the way. Good. Get out of the way. Chuck Taylor, talented in the ring, horrible in skits in the back. He's with Orange Cassidy. He gets confronted by Miro, Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford, and Miro is making fun of the fact that Chuck Taylor's partner is out for 5-6 months, and he challenges Chuck Taylor for a match next week. And Chuck Taylor's like, all right, yeah, fine. You know, like, whatever I got to do to, like, you know, stop this, like, so I don't have to deal with you anymore. And Miro's like, okay, if you lose, you're my young boy. Young boy. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Let's just use servant, golfer, Caddyshack, golfer. You got golfers. Young boy. Miro says, okay, you know, you have the match. You lose, you're going to be my, yeah, whatever it takes. If I was in storyline Miro cutting that, I would have said, yeah, and you know what? You got to give me a house too. And you got to give me your mother's fucking caravan. And you got to give me this. You got to, because Chuck Taylor, I mean, talk about like, I mean, try to have a little bit of melodramatics. You know, like get angry, pissed off. I mean, can you imagine Conrad selling a house to Chuck Taylor? Hey, Chuck, I know this house is only worth $600,000, but I'm telling you, in 2-3 years, when they build that new nuclear plant a couple of blocks away, you know, you're going to have people from a couple of blocks away that are going to want to insist on moving to your block, and your house is going to skyrocket. Okay. Yeah, but I didn't even show you the house yet. No, whatever it takes, just give me the house. Give me the keys. Conrad's like, but I didn't even tell you about the prop. That's okay. Talk about like, then, yeah, are we allowed to like comment about Dark Order people, or is that still too new? Because Ty Conti next week is going to take on Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's title. And for some reason, Anna Jay is talking, and it was pre-recorded. So you would think that the producers would have said, cut, Anna Jay, you know, you nice, and you know you could speak decent, but that was a sentence. It ends in a period, not in a comma. Go back and watch that. There was like this awkward pause, like Like you could just imagine the people filming that, and they're like, I guess that's a wrap. And then they left. A lot of that is still inexperience. That will iron itself out. Chuck Taylor will get better. Anna Jay, obviously, is still very new. She will get better. But a lot of that shit is pre-recorded. There's no reason for it to be... Are they afraid to hurt somebody's feelings and say, look, we got to do it again? I mean, when you redo skits, does it only involve laughing? Because I saw all those Dark Orders segments. I love being the Elite. I forget what episode it was, 253 or the one paying tribute, 236 it might have been, paying tribute to Brodie Lee. And I saw all those outtakes. And all those outtakes all involve laughter. So it's like if you don't laugh, it's like you don't do a double, redo, another redo. I mean, does it only have to be like lighthearted, like, because I could just picture people in the back, somebody cutting a promo, and the person's like, oh my God, she sucks, he sucks. Oh my God, what the fuck am I looking at? But they don't have the heart to tell that person that they sucks. So how do you force this segment to be doing oh, I got it. And then everybody breaks out laughing, and they don't know why they're laughing. We got to do it over. I mean, I'm not trying to be overly critical, but I'm pointing out a couple of things that need to get better. They need to get better. It comes off as very amateurish. So anyway, the opening match tonight, Young Bucks and SCU defeating the Acclaimed and TH2. I mean, I don't think anybody out there thought that there was any chance of anything otherwise. Now, the storyline, shout out to everybody. I hope everybody's doing a little bit better tonight, because I could see the craziness going on during the day today. It was not good. Like I said, we'll talk about that tomorrow, but I hope everybody is doing a little bit better tonight, whether you live in the United States or not, because this rubs off on everybody. That's why I try to laugh, smile, poke fun, little lighthearted stuff. I laugh at myself, but at the same time, you got to also obviously pay attention to what's going on. So, but good, Sam and a few others. Tomorrow I'm actually going to do something that I did earlier today. So it'll be shout outs for some of you live tomorrow. I'm going to do like KRS-One. If anybody ever remembers that rap he did, I'm Still Number One, I'm going to do it KRS style tomorrow. I won't sound bad. It's actually going to be a cool way, I think, to do shout-outs on this show. The only problem is I can't have that beat going in the background because I'll get hit with copyright flags. But it's going to be a fun night tomorrow. I have nothing prepared. And sometimes when you prepare nothing, ends up being the best shows. The more you see me looking directly at you the entire night, you don't see me doing this, see me doing that, looking at notes. The more you see my eyes never leave the camera, that's when you know I'm freestyling. Like, I have some tidbits of notes in front of me. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Kenny Omega reverses it and hits the Tiger Driver and then hits the V-trigger and only gets a 2 count. But then he hits the one-winged angel to Rey Fenix and no one ever kicks out for the one-winged. I don't do match to match, play by play. I tell you the match is good. I tell you what stands out to me. I tell you what I like, I don't like. And then if it sparks you to want to see something, then you go see it. I'll tell you one thing that I loved tonight, and it was so small. It was so small. But little things like that make me smile. And when I heard Jericho say to Jim Ross, he said, JR, legit, that was my favorite part of the night tonight. There was a part where Rey Fenix picked up Kenny Omega. And I don't remember if he hit a neck breaker or something, but I know a lot of you caught it. Before Rey Fenix nailed his move, he just very quickly kneed Kenny Omega in the head. Like just this very quick knee, just a little tap, and then hit his move. And you never, ever see people do that in wrestling. And when I saw Rey Fenix pick him up and just give him a quick knee to the head and then execute the move, I fucking loved it. And then Jericho right after saying, seriously, JR, that was my favorite part of the night. It did no damage whatsoever. But little things like that it's the difference of somebody drawing like a sketch of someone that looks like they're playing Hangman and someone with beautiful detail. That's what Rey Fenix does, and that's what Kenny Omega does, and that's what some others do as well. But shows tomorrow my show tomorrow, 9:05 p.m. Eastern. I was doing 10, but I had a lot of you sending me feedback privately, like 10 o'clock's a little bit late. You know, we do it 9, even if we go 2 hours, we still finish at 11 my time. Some people overseas, it's late night, but not, 7 a.m. wake up time. So, and when I looked at all the shows I do on YouTube, Mondays are 11:05, Wednesdays are 10:05, Fridays are 10:05, but Thursdays is 9. I thought it'd be even. So since everything has 05 at the end of it, I made it 9:05. So I'll be here at 9. And YouTube is coming out a lot of you may not know this. YouTube is coming out with a feature, almost like a pre-show, where you could actually do like a little pre-show before your show. I still don't understand why or how some podcasts it must be the type of OBS software they use. But I know there's some podcast out there that 2 hours before they go live, their chat room on YouTube is banging. And the people, they push that. Like, chat all through before we even do the show. For me, for some reason, I see people post a comment in the chat like an hour before I go live, and by the time I go live, it's gone. I didn't delete it. So there must be some setting in OBS that allows the chat to be active and banging hours before the show. But once this pre-show thing starts, I'm going to open it up like 15 minutes early and just let you all get into the mood, start commenting and this and that. Maybe I'll come up and talk a little bit, and then boom, into the show. So trust me, we're working on a lot of things, and Mish and I are working on calls because I know a lot of you want to do that. We're working on some ideas as far as like the membership stuff and everything. So there's going to be things going down throughout the month of January. So tomorrow is going to be the start of something really, really special, because tomorrow is the only show that I do over here where that show is pretty much anything goes. Any topic goes, anything goes. I wouldn't be surprised if some Thursdays have very little wrestling involved in it. But no, Michael, the Q&A is tomorrow. I'm going to do it live tomorrow. So you tune in live tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be all chat, Q&A, ask me anything, discussion, whoever's live, you will be producing the show, because your conversations tomorrow, I'm gonna have no notes in front of me. So the entire night, see my chat room right now, I see it this way. Tomorrow, I put that chat room right here, and the entire night, and that's another thing. Think about it. I'll ask you all tomorrow when I have the video up. I have the capability now of the chat room that's going right now on YouTube, all your comments. I can make a little box on the screen. You see, like on this one, you see me with the shades on, over there. I can put in place of that a little chat box, and all of your chats can be seen on the video, not just on the side. So tomorrow I'll bring that up a little bit more detailed, and you guys let me know if you want me to start doing that. This way your actual comments will show up too. But anyway, so the Young Bucks SCU, they defeat the Acclaimed and TH2. I will tell you, towards the very end of the match, when you had Christopher Daniels and Matt Jackson hit the Meltzer driver, or the best Meltzer ever, if you want to call it that, onto Jack Evans. I mean, it looked awesome. I don't like the storyline with Daniels and Kazarian that started last year. Really wasn't focused on all that much because they really haven't been used on TV that much. But somebody's retiring from that team, or someone really wants to dedicate working in the office. I know Daniels already does that more. But the storyline is that the next match, think Ric Flair in the WWE. Remember Vince McMahon's storyline? The next loss you have, you're retired. So this is what they're doing with SCU now. They're now pushing that storyline. That the next match that Daniels and Kazarian lose, they are forced to split as a team. They confronted the Young Bucks today, basically saying like they got the Young Bucks' back all the time, except for the day that they faced them for the titles, and they'll beat them for it. So it almost feels like Kazarian and Daniels, this may be setting up for if they do have some form of a retirement match as a team. Not saying that they're going to retire from wrestling, but if they retire as a team permanently, they probably want it against the Young Bucks. And that's not a bad, choice to have. Christopher Daniels is getting old. We want to remember, whether it's Christopher Daniels, whether it's Hogan, whether it's Goldberg, whether it's Sting, whether it's any wrestler, Kurt Angle, Bret Hart, Eddie Guerrero. By the way, I loved how Rey Fenix was going to do a tribute to Eddie, but it did not work out well at the end. But all of our favorites that we've grown up as wrestling fans and enjoyed, you always remember them in a certain look. When you see wrestling promoters out there, and obviously it's done by design, and they advertise legends being on their shows, if you notice, they'll always take a picture of that wrestler in their prime or how you most remember them. But in our hearts and in our minds, when you see someone that you have watched for decades get older and you think about them, your mind will always go, not consciously all the time, but subconsciously, you go to a period in their career that you remember. For Samoa Joe, whenever I see Samoa Joe commentating, when he was wrestling for WWE, but whenever I really just took a step back and just thought about Samoa Joe, no, it's not the tribal cock, but I always think back to when he headbutted Kurt Angle. That period of time. Even though he did awesome stuff in Ring of Honor, I think of that period of time. So Samoa Joe could be Grandpa Samoa Joe. I will always, in my mind, remember Joe from that era. And you do that with all wrestlers. And with Christopher Daniels, I think a lot of you out there, whenever you think of Daniels, you're going to think of early 2000s TNA wrestling. AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Elix Skipper, Samoa Joe, that era. That's what you're going to remember. And the thing is we don't ever want our favorites to become mortal. But unfortunately, it happens. It happens to everybody. And Daniels, it's getting close to that time. So, you will see a storyline ultimately build probably against the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks, especially now, the Young Bucks kind of feels like they turn heel tonight, makes the storyline even more strong. And if they end up retiring Daniels and Kazarian as a team, although casual wrestling fans may not give two shits about that really all that much, still, for a lot of us, it'll still, be important. So anyway, so we'll see where that storyline goes. We had Wardlow versus Hager. I love the match. I tell you, Wardlow could go. And when he first came in, I remember telling everyone, seek out some of his stuff on YouTube. Guy actually could work pretty damn good. I know some people with the F10, they're kind of like, but it's still a legit move. As this match was going on, And they're just beating the balls out of each other. You got the Inner Circle on the rampway watching it. Jericho's on commentary. And they're just going hour. Fisticuffs. Just, remember I said earlier, right? What was that match? What was it, Hogan and Warrior? Nobody moves. It just felt like two beasts. Two unicorns, two rhinos, just bad. You ever see like a National Geographic video clip on Twitter and they show like two rhinos or two rams in the mountains? They just start, boom, they lock horns. Boom, they lock horns. Doesn't come to any conclusion. I kind of would have liked to have seen it end in a no contest or count out, double disqualification. I would have liked to have even seen something where they both knock out the referee or something like that. But I will tell you, two bulls. Yes, Psycho, two bulls, too. What's up, Pat McGrath? A little late, but it's okay. You get at the rewind bar, And by the way, like I said to everyone, as you see, I mingle with everybody that comments on YouTube now. I don't just sit there and hit like. That's the one thing that annoys me the most. And I see it happen on YouTube now a lot. I always talked about it on Twitter, but I see it on YouTube. Someone takes the time to ask you a question, and it's a decent question. Even if you've answered it 10,000 times, you should return, with an answer. And the one thing that just rubbed me the wrong way on social media, and you see it on Twitter all the time, is somebody ask somebody a question, or I ask somebody a question. Hey, what do you think about blah, 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 blah? And all the person does is hit a like button. And I'm saying to myself, no, I didn't say it for your approval. I'm asking you a fucking question. And then you go down the list and you could see what that person is doing. That person has no interest in hanging out and chatting with everyone. They'll post something. And when I say about the addiction to likes, they'll go back, and if you notice, you'll see like 50 questions being written in the thread, and all you'll see is like. And you realize, that person not even looking at your stuff. Oh, I get a response. Like, I got a response. Like, I wish you were dead. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be one of those guys. So, especially with the Moxley rant that I said earlier, if you disagree with me, let me know. A lot of you out there changed my views on Pat McAfee, and I thank you for that. Because Pat McAfee was almost as bad as like sucking on a lemon to me. I was just so bitter about the guy. And, I wish they would have done a little bit more since War Games, but they haven't. And we'll get to NXT in a moment, because we'll pick up the pace now with AEW, because we pretty much got the gist of what we got tonight. So Wardlow gets the win over Hager. And look, Hager is not a full-time wrestler anymore. For a little while, they had him teaming with Jericho, getting him into matches, but teaming so he doesn't have to do a boatload of work. But, that storyline, that friction with Jericho and Hager has been one of my highlights with the Inner Circle. Personally, I think the MJF joining the Inner Circle has been flat. Absolutely flat. This ultimately leads to a swerve. And if you remember my rants about 2 months ago, I think Guevara is going to get the Randy Orton Evolution treatment, one day. But, putting the MJF, they have done no progression with that whatsoever. But I like the dynamic with Wardlow and Hager. And Hager giving, it wasn't probably his choice, but Hager, putting over Wardlow, I thought it was phenomenal. I thought that was great to see. I enjoyed that match very much, very much. Some people in the chat say they still don't like Pat McAfee. Don't get me wrong. There's still things about Pat McAfee I really don't care for. But, I respect the fact that the guy did not look like a celebrity. We had the guest celebrities, on Raw, guest appearance, it didn't feel like that. It felt like a celebrity, obviously, but it also felt like someone that respects wrestling as a fan so much that if they were going to do it, they were going to put all their effort into it. And you can't disrespect that. You know, WWE had their Raw guest hosts that were the drizzling shits almost all the time, especially when the actors, ad-libbed some of the things to try to get themselves over, because you would see it happen on Raw over and over again. You have a guest host having a back and forth with a wrestler. We use Jericho, for example. And Jericho is doing his shtick as a heel, putting down that guest host. And the guest host, like, goes into, how many times did you see it over the years? They get into business for themselves, and they start interrupting where you know they're not supposed to interrupt, and they're almost as if legitimately being offended that this person who is doing their job is doing it better than you, and then they go into business for themselves. We've seen that. Pat McAfee did not do that, and I kind of respect that, to be honest with you. FT Gaggiano, what's up? What's up, everybody? By the way, as I say always, if you're enjoying the show, appreciate it if you smash that like button. You know, let YouTube know that you enjoyed the show. They'll recommend it to others. I tell you the coolest thing. I fall asleep with YouTube on. I usually watch cooking stuff late at night to try to find ideas for my diet because it's getting boring as hell. I just bought a Ninja Foodie. I got it as a gift, but I bought all these accessories for it and grilling things and learning. But the funny thing is, I swear to God, I don't know how this happens sometimes, but I'll go to sleep watching a recipe for this grill. I'll wake up in the morning and JD from New York is on my screen. Or once in a blue moon, I'm on my own screen. And I'm like, wait, I know Ambien I pass out from Ambien. But there's no way that I'm channel surf walking. I know there's sleepwalking. I don't think there is a such thing. I don't know how it does that. It's all recommendations. But I will tell you, I have not yet had myself wake up in the middle of the night and find on my screen, wait, who did he just interview? Oh, Eric Rowan. Oh, did you hear me? What do you think of this? Would you like AEW? Would you like to work there again? And I say this lightheartedly. Go check out Chris Van Vliet interviewing Eric Rowan. They talk about Brodie Lee. I'm not going to lie to you. I watched about half of the interview. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. But my running joke about Chris happened big time on this video. And I understand it's because of the camera setup. But if you watch him interviewing Eric Redbeard, as Eric is talking, Chris is doing what I joked about a couple of days ago. It looks like he's looking at their nuts. He's like Eric Redbeard. If you picture your Eric Redbeard right now, all of you, and you're talking to me, and I'm looking like he's doing this. Oh. Yeah. Like it just 3/4 of the interview, and yes, it's because his camera's set up, but all of his interviews, it looks like he's looking at their private parties. So anyway, speaking of private party, they were about to make some gin and juice backstage, but they only had gin. Snoop Dogg arrives with the juice. Oh, okay, gin and juice. You know, if you really want to impress me tonight, AEW, I would have liked to have heard that song. What was that? I go 187 on a... No, we're not going there. That is a long time ago, obviously, so we don't think about that era anymore. But Snoop Dogg did a little rendition of Cody's entrance today. And Jericho trolling WWE. Snoop Dogg jumped. He jumped. What'd you all think of Snoop Dogg's splash to Serpentico? I know it's lighthearted. I don't know. Basically, and I know we're jumping back and forth a little bit, but it's okay. Cody comes out for his match against Matt Sydal, who you knew was Evan Bourne. And no Arn Anderson. Snoop Dogg comes out with Cody. And Cody came out first to some Snoop Dogg rap and then Cody's music, and I think one of the commentators said that Snoop Dogg actually did a little rendition of Cody's music. Okay, no problem. It was funny because Snoop had the whatever you want to call that it's not a clipboard, it's like a laminated playbook that Arn Anderson has out there. And didn't Jericho say once it looks like a menu of a restaurant, like what Arn is going to order? But for some reason, you had Snoop with Arn's, play notes or whatever, and he's got it like this. Like he's got it against his nose. Maybe it smelled like food. I don't know. I got this shirt. It smelled like ketchup. I kid you not. I wasn't even going to mention it, but since we're talking about food, when I took it out of the package, I'm like, something smells good. And I thought, oh, maybe it's EC3's cologne, because obviously he did not package it. He's got a company that does it. But, I'm smelling it right now. I swear on my mother. It smells like Heinz ketchup. I never thought ketchup smelled so good. My shirt smells like ketchup. I don't know why. I think over the years of people I've come across for all different nationalities, ethnicities, and all walks of life. I mean, sometimes you're around people and they have a unique, smell to themselves. And some people sometimes smell like food. Some of my customers that are Italian and older, they come in the office, they all smell like garlic. And I know that there's a tradition that you wear garlic like underneath like your shirt or something to like keep away. But this smelled like ketchup. I don't remember ever meeting anybody in my life, like walking into a place and he smells like ketchup. It smells like ketchup. I'm not kidding. I wish you could all smell this right now. It smells like ketchup, but in a positive way. So Cody takes on Matt Sydal. It was an okay match. It had its moments. Basically to set up the Snoop pin. What happens is you had, the usual AEW staff around ringside as fans. And, Cody is battling outside the ring with Matt Sydal. And he tried to hit Matt Sydal, but he ducked and he hit Serpentico instead. So as soon as Cody hit Crossroads and got the win, Serpentico, who got nailed earlier in the match, hits the ring with Luther, and they're beating up Cody. And I'm immediately looking at Snoop Dogg because I'm saying to myself, is he going to hit a finisher or something? And I see him like, how come nobody's coming out? He looked like Aubrey Edwards. Oh, and by the way, anyone think that the finish with Rey Fenix and Kenny Omega tonight might have been a little botched? Didn't Rey lift his arm in the 2 count and still counted the 3? I know Jericho tried to cover it up, but that was pretty clear. His arm was off the mat. Something tells me, because people like to blow shit up on Twitter, something tells me that will be repeated over and over again. And they may have to have Rey Fenix cut a promo next week, or Pac or somebody else, that Rey Fenix really wasn't pinned. Benjamin says a lot of people smell like what they eat. I've eaten a lot of fried foods with ketchup in my lifetime. I don't recall ever sitting at the TV with like a bucket of ketchup. This does not smell like French fries and ketchup. It doesn't smell like chicken fingers and ketchup. It smells like ketchup. I'm not kidding. It smells like Heinz ketchup. It really does. And again, I'm not saying it as a bad thing. It's just like, as soon as I open the packaging, I got this cool thing from EC3, autograph, and a few other things. And like I smelled something. And I immediately put it to my nose. I said, wow, this smells like ketchup. So anyway. So Cody is getting beat up by Serpentico and Luther. Snoop Dogg, I guess is looking for assistance, doesn't get any. Matt Sydal, gets the upper hand. They finally take out Luther, and they're beating up Serpentico, and they have Serpentico laid out in the ring. And then you see Snoop climbing the top rope, and he realizes he ain't got no lift. He ain't got no arch. So he's like telling him, no, move him back closer to the rope. And, like I said, it looked like Snoop Dogg climbed the top like he was jumping feet first into a pool. And then at the last minute, just turned on. Look, the guy doesn't wrestle. So I don't have any problem with it. It was more to plug, that game show that they're going to be doing. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But, it was what it was. And Cody obviously has a big role on that game show as well. That's why Snoop was in his corner. But again, I loved how Jericho was trolling with WWE. Now, Shida versus Abadon. The biting of the neck thing was a little bit goofy. But I like how Abadon, anybody that goes back and remembers George the Animal Steel, and I'm not talking oddities George the Animal Steel. I'm talking 70s to early 80s George the Animal Steel. He would bite arms. He would bite shoulders. He'd bite necks. He would bite fingers. He would bite a lot of things. So having Abadon biting Shida numerous times to break holds is perfectly fine with me. She's unique. She's not this is the thing I think people missed the boat with Abadon, and I'm defending her right now. I have Abadon shirts, by the way. I just wanted to wear this today because, we're still in the tribute mode. I think we'll always be, but I want, EC3 got this so quick to me, and I said last week, I hope I get it by Wednesday, and I got it. But, I think what a lot of people missed the boat with Abadon is if she was this upper tier main event, wrestler, maybe not the abilities of a Hikaru Shida, but could, can hang and, we would have known about it way before. Plus tonight's criticism about Abadon. Now, I will say, the going under the ring thing I thought was very dumb and cheesy. But if you really pay close attention on social media, people critiquing Abadon based on this match tonight and saying she's not very good and this and that, they based it tonight. And you realize they have watched nothing of Abadon in AEW Dark. They've watched nothing that she has done for other companies. And I'm sorry, if you're going to do especially shows or websites or blogs, and you're going to, it's like interviewing someone. All right. I'm going to be interviewing someone very, very soon who wrote a book. I don't want to say who it is. I don't want to say, but we've had conversations before, and I wanted to always pick this person's brain about his book. Now, if I'm going to interview or critique that book, what I obviously need to read it or skim through it as best as I can so I know what's inside the book, because you ever hear that saying, you don't judge the book by its cover? There's a reason why that saying is a legit saying. People judged Abadon's overall worth in AEW by tonight's match. And that exposes the people who really don't watch. They don't watch shit, to be honest with you. Is she a main eventer? More because of her character. She bites. What do you want her to do? A 450 splash? I mean, that Singapore cane shot that she'd have hit her with early in the match, Sandman would have been proud. But I didn't like it last week, with the biting in the neck and all that extreme, like trying to show blood. Because when you have a match a week later, it's like, okay, it's going to be, in storyline, it's going to look goofy that somehow magically healed. And they put some pink cover up and everything to try to make it look like it was still red and irritated. But they did it again. They go under the ring. Abadon comes out first, and she's got all blood all over her mouth. And you realize, oh my God, she bit Shida again. Now, I wonder why Abadon couldn't draw blood when biting the leg. I wonder why Abadon couldn't draw blood by biting the arm. I wonder why Abadon could, but just in the neck area, you know. And you can see underneath the ring, Shida's putting the blood all over her neck. And I didn't like that. I didn't think it was necessary. The Singapore cane shot to the head, old school, loved it. Knees to the face, you know. I liked the match. There was a couple little things they could have done without that would have made the match better, in my opinion. Lion calls her a chubby Rosemary. You know, if that's how you look at her. Look, I'm not saying that she's a mega star. But you look at the overall women's division, AEW, and she is no worse than a lot of other people who have gotten opportunity there. And I give her credit for having one of the most unique looks in wrestling in the last 20, 30 years. I mean, it's wild. It's fucking wild. And when I originally posted pictures of her without makeup, I mean, people were kind of surprised, like, oh my God. Like, you know, it's interesting. So you could say she ripped off, wrestling rips off wrestling. It's recycled for decades and decades and decades. Things are always recycled. So anyway, we had also tonight the weigh-in, Darby Allin and Brian Cage. We already talked about that nonsense of Sting showing up and Team Taz literally running out of that ring. Goofy. Stupid. Because it's interesting that Sting doesn't even have to swing at them. Look, if my grandmother was still alive and she had a bat in her hand, even though she didn't have much strength, she's got a baseball bat in her hand and I'm like in the room and I don't pay attention and she's like, and she starts swinging a bat. A little kid can knock your ass out with a bat inadvertently. So, my God, Sting, burn 11 calories while you're out there. Like, if he tried to whale everybody with the bat, I could understand, hey, he's a 60-year-old man, but that bat ain't 60 years old. That fucking shit still hurts, you know? But he doesn't do anything. He just quietly, like you know what it looks like? It looks like when you're online in a bank and like like spots open up with the bank tellers. And, you know, because if only one spot opens up, you only walk like 2 feet or in this case, 6 feet to the next sticker. But if you're online in a bank and then 2 customers can get helped at the same time and you have to walk 12 feet, it's like you walk, but you walk slow, you know, and you like up to the 12. That's what Sting looks like. Sting looks like he's in line at the DMV and he just takes a couple of steps and everybody runs away like he farted. Seriously. He should just fart. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, Sting, what'd you eat? Anyway, Cage weighs in at 272. Darby Allin weighs in at 170. I left when Taz told Tony to get your white ass out of the ring. And, you know, Taz says, as God is my witness, next week Brian Cage will be the new TNT champion, and he called Darby Allin a rotten son of a bitch. Happy New Year, Sean Ducarm. See, tomorrow, because I have no notes in front of me, the chat room will look this big. So I won't have to be like... So I hope you could all join me tomorrow. Seriously. Anthony Diaz, what's up, my brother? Anthony Diaz says that he listens to me before he goes to sleep. That I don't doubt that some people fall asleep with my stuff. You know, I mean, I'm not the most soothing person out there, but I do listen to shows to fall asleep. Not out of boredom, but sometimes if it's the same tone and it's not like interesting with plots, especially a movie, I can't tell you, even if it's forensic files. If I used to leave forensic files on every night, fall asleep, HLN, forensic files. Then what I would find happen is, like, it'd be 3 a.m. and, like, subconsciously, like, I'm half dreaming and I'm half listening to the TV in the background. And then all of a sudden, John List is in my dream trying to shoot me and my family. And I wake up and then I see it on TV and I'm like, oh, I like this episode. And I just sit there and I watch it. Or if anybody's older like me, how many times in the 90s you fall asleep, you wake up at 3:30 in the morning and they're showing you like an infomercial for Girls Gone Wild 11. And you're seeing all these girls and they're doing this and they're showing, and like, how do you fall back asleep at that? I mean, I understand there's some of you out there, you know, I'm saying it because I'm a heterosexual. But that's what would happen to me. I go to sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night. There's an infomercial. Ron Popeil's like chicken thing. I don't like chicken. I never liked chicken, roasted turkeys, Cornish hens. But I swear, for some reason, that son of a bitch convinced me to buy one of those like rotisserie things. Not kidding, man. So maybe we'll have convos about that tomorrow. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. Maybe we won't. But we'll definitely talk about New Jack diving off the in Washington today onto those jerk-offs. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Don't forget tomorrow, like I said, we haven't come up with a name for Thursday yet, but I'm thinking since Thursday will be like rotation, not every week is going to be an Ask DT episode. Mish is going to join me maybe next Thursday. I have a few other people that are going to be joining my channel in the very near future. We're going to have some discussions. Some people with blue check marks next to their names. Some people that you've wanted to see me debate and talk to over the years. We're finally going to do it. So Thursday is going to be like a rotation, you know. But for tomorrow, we just may keep it simple. Ask anything, live chat, live stream, 9:05 p.m. Eastern. So join me if you're going to be around. So anyway, let's get back to this so we can start wrapping this up. Next week, Brian Cage versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Miro versus Chuck Taylor. If Chuck Taylor loses, he is Miro's young boy. Young boy. Serena Deeb versus Ty Conti for the NWA Women's Championship. The Elite will be in action next week. Now, I ask you this, everybody. I'm not trying to nitpick, but when they said the Elite was going to be appearing next week, this was before Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, you know, did this. Anybody out there afterwards say to themselves, why did they announce the Elite in action before that segment? Devin, I'm announcing the winners tomorrow, Devin. With everything going on today, honestly, I forgot. I'm not lying. I'm human. I do make a mistake. I forgot. Tomorrow. No, but James Edward, everyone else, answer me now live. If you disagree with me, tell me. There is no wrong answer. But when they announced that the Elite was going to be in action next week, before the closing segment, you find that odd at all? Because when they announced it, the first thing I said to myself was, who? Like, it wasn't just Kenny Omega. Who are they referencing? I don't know if that was disorganized. Maybe I'm just reading into it too much. I thought that they announced it prematurely. FTR versus Jurassic Express. Pac versus Eddie Kingston. We're going to find out next week what the Inner Circle's New Year's resolution is. And the waiting room with Cody. Britt Baker will now do her waiting room segment on Dynamite. Cody will be the guest. Okay, I have no real issue with that. And I already talked about the main event. Kenny Omega and Rey Fenix tore the house down. I absolutely loved that match. The last 5-6 minutes especially, yes. For me, Rey Fenix kicked out maybe 2-3 times too many. Kenny Omega kicking out 1-2 times too many. But the match was so good, you just don't care. It was that good. I mean, you looked at how red their chests were, blood. Not because of, I mean, that's from just the physicality that was involved. Oh, man. Yeah, you got to go, seriously. Some of you out there that did not see it, you got to go out of your way to watch that match. It's that good. It was that good. I mean, yes, for all of us, we knew Kenny Omega wasn't losing that belt. Maybe you thought DQ. Maybe DQ. But, Rey Fenix just put it this way. In my opinion, maybe outside of the match that he had against his brother, Pentagon, I think this was my favorite Rey Fenix match in his AEW career. It's a short career, hasn't been that long, but it's my favorite match to date. And honestly, Kenny Omega has had some incredible matches in AEW. Some have been quite unique. Think of the Moxley hardcore match. I think as far as the match, encounters, encountering the counters, I don't think I'd be crazy to say that Rey Fenix might have been Kenny Omega's best opponent yet in AEW. Because you saw those dives getting, countered into some wild-ass fucking moves, and it didn't look like acrobats. They nailed it. They nailed it. I absolutely, and if, you know what, I don't like doing ratings for matches. I don't give 5 stars, but if Meltzer gives it 5 stars, I have no problem with it. I loved it. The only thing that Rey Fenix has to be very careful of, and we've talked about this before, is, he's homicidal, suicidal, genocidal. You know what I mean? And, you got to be careful because, there's so much risk at when you see some things that you've never seen before, even if you've been watching for a long time, that's because it's so high risk and dangerous. Because trust me, someone does, a Frankensteiner. Hey, I used to see Scott Steiner do that. What if I did it backwards? And what if I did it, off this rope? Why don't you do it off the top of a building while you're at it? There's some things that are never done because of the risk involved. And it looks like a video game on the screen, but these are real bodies out there. And you don't want to see someone seriously injured. But after the match is over, SoFly Bumor thinks that Meltzer will give it 5 stars. I think he gives it 4 3/4 at minimum. 4 3/4. Very good match. After the match is over, a little corny. You have Don Callis get on the mic and talk about how AEW is an unsafe working environment. They show the footage. Now we're supposed to believe that this was live in the back. But Don Callis said footage, so you knew it was pre-recorded. And then if you look at it, you have some members beating up, Kingston and his crew, beating up Pentagon. And then Kingston just kind of had like his arm over Pac's head. And it was the Bunny. The Bunny was in his face, like just laughing at him. And Pac looked like, if you've ever, like as a kid, like open your bathroom door and accidentally saw one of your parents stark naked, you open the door and you're like, that's what, you see Pac's face? Pac's face, I mean, it looked like he was grimacing, and all it really was, Eddie Kingston was like kind of holding his head, and the Bunny is laughing at him, and he's like this. Right? And it was pre-recorded because somebody fucking had to hit the pause button because it was frozen for a second. Unless that was my TV. So they're beating him up in the back. And Kenny Omega teases that he's going to take out Rey Fenix. And I wrote down what Don Callis said, that he was going to... he wanted him to one-wing angel him into scrap heap of history. That's one thing about Don Callis. Don Callis is great with those sentences, those one-liners, those just catchphrases. He's great with promos. I like Don Callis. So he hits the magic killer, and next thing you know, you have a whole bunch of people at ringside trying to, get involved. Gallows and Anderson show up. Fucking finally. You've been paying attention to my shows every week. You know that this is, better late than never. And again, no Rich Swann, no Motor City Machine Guns. I will bet you the ranch. I will bet the ranch that they show up on next week's Dynamite, because the Impact Wrestling pay-per-view follows that same week. So I will laugh uncontrollably if Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns don't show up next week to get revenge on Gallows. Gallows and Anderson have to show up again next week, in my opinion, especially after how they went off the air today. But it was nice seeing Gallows and Anderson. Jericho and the commentators, Jim Ross, they're bringing up Impact, saying that they don't work here. And then the Young Bucks hit the ring. And early on, it seemed like the Young Bucks was just trying to calm everything, because Gallows, Anderson, Kenny Omega, they're beating the crap out of, the wrestlers at ringside, Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., and a few others. But next thing you know, the Young Bucks super kicked, I think, Griff Garrison or Pillman, one of the two. Might have even been both. And then Omega wants everybody to do the Too Sweet symbol. And they did. And they go off the air with that. Kind of feels a little bit NWO. I like it. Got to be careful with that. I mean, Gallows and Anderson cannot just show up on Dynamite one or two more times, and then that's it. If you're going to give the impression that the Bullet Club is back together, and you want to go to the extent where they start name-dropping people in WWE like the NWO used to. Kevin Nash, he walked down to the ring, what's up, HBK? If they got to maybe start doing that. And the funny thing is, that WWE is not going to let some of their wrestlers reciprocate that. But thank you, Joe. Gave a shout out to my dad. Yeah, my mom and my dad are in Florida right now. I'm bird sitting. He's inside sleeping. I bring him in here right now, but trust me, that bird, he gets up really, really early, and that bird needs 8 to 10 hours of sleep. That's just how they are. So by 9 o'clock at night, I got to keep everything pitch black inside. And even in the middle of the night when I get up, I got to be so quiet. If that bird gets up, it's a disaster, because at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, he starts ringing bells and whistling, and I got neighbors upstairs. So anyway, so that's how they went off the air. I liked it. We'll see where it goes, but they got to be very careful with this, because if you're going to form a group and then you realize the group is only 3 people after a week or two, it's going to come off a little bit cheesy. You'd have to really increase that working relationship with Impact Wrestling. And I have a feeling that they will. I really do. I am not going to crap on it. I want to see where it goes. But finally, they have Impact show up. So good. This is a couple of weeks late, but I'll take it. I liked it. Seeing them hit the magic killer on Jon Moxley, because Moxley came out there to try to save the day. He had a barbed wire baseball bat. He nailed Omega with it a few times. There was one kind of corny spot where Gallows and Anderson were holding holding Moxley, and almost like holding his head up. And if you go back and you watch it, the only thing that would have made sense is Kenny Omega hitting him in the face with the bat, which would have been, ballsy. And Jon Moxley probably would love that. But instead, he hit him in the gut. It was what it was, but they left Moxley laying. But as I've said many times over, what happened to Moxley tonight should have happened 5 weeks ago. even if it wasn't Gallows and Anderson 5 weeks ago, it could have been Eddie Kingston. It could have been the Butcher and the Blade and Omega. It could have been a whole bunch of people. He could have, like I said, he could have come out, caused havoc, knock out an official, and Tony Khan suspends Moxley for a month. The best thing that Tony Khan should have done 5 weeks ago is have Moxley come out that following week. He's not leaving that ring until that son of a bitch and that used car salesman that screwed me over come into this ring to my face right now. Refuses to leave the ring. Somebody comes out, asks him to leave. He hits, the DDT on them. And then on social media, Tony Khan suspends him for 30 days. You could have written Moxley off of TV for the last 30 days and still saved his character. But instead, he just goes home. And then he cuts the fucking John Cena promo early on. It's not that hard. So anyway, now on the NXT side, we didn't get that many matches. We did get 2 added, to fill time. I don't know the extent of Timothy Thatcher's injury. But earlier today, it was announced, William Regal made the announcement on social media, Timothy Thatcher had some minor injury. And as a result, the fight pit match with Ciampa was not going to happen. I mean, maybe they scrapped it because they wanted the focus to be on the main event and the last woman standing match. They could have certainly fit it in. If it was a legit injury, why not just say what the injury is? When you had Regal a few times, social media, TV, say a minor injury. How many times have wrestlers had minor injuries on NXT? And Mr. Regal, I want this match. You've got your match. Especially when you see Timothy Thatcher storming out the way he did. I just thought it was goofy. But so we didn't get that match. The opening, Karrion Kross defeating Damian Priest. If you had any doubts about Karrion Kross back to 100% full strength, those doubts were answered tonight. Karrion Kross is back, got all his strength back, tossing around Damian Priest at some points like a frisbee. Damian Priest is no little guy. He's a big boy. It was a fun match. It went a lot longer. You could tell that WWE tried to make up some of the time for Thatcher and Ciampa not happening by giving some of these matches a few extra minutes. Damian Priest versus Karrion Kross. I love that it got some "This Is Awesome" chants. Yeah, maybe some of it is manufactured, but it deserved it. They brawled and beat the shit out of each other. I loved towards the end with Damian Priest, I'm still standing, and Karrion Kross just wails him with a bunch of moves and knocks his ass out. Damian Priest did not lose anything tonight by losing that match. It was hard fought. I kind of call it the fade to blue because Karrion Kross hit him like in the back. I mean, it was in his back area, but it looked like he hit him like smashed with like almost like a clothesline or with a knockout shot to Damian Priest from the back area, almost like the lower neck. And Kross got the pin. And for me, I would have called that move the fade to blue because of all the rumors of Damian Priest possibly coming to SmackDown. Like I said, all these people online, they ain't got no sources. Somebody posted a tweet, and when you run with that 10 seconds later, you have no sources because you would do your diligence to find out, the legitimacy of it. But hey, maybe he does show up on SmackDown. Maybe he doesn't. Damian Priest on SmackDown would be very interesting right now. I think overall at the roster, there's a couple of people I could see him going at it with, but to what extent? I don't know. I don't know if Damian Priest going to SmackDown would be the wisest idea right now. Now, if you want to put some NXT stars in the Royal Rumble and put Damian Priest in the Royal Rumble, absolutely. But Ken has every right to be here too. And if you don't like him, you could right-click and block him so you don't have to see his shit. But I will tell you this. I know there was a couple of really nasty things written the other day that I did not catch originally, but I saw it after. And I did contact 2 people that were in the chat, and I said, please, don't do that again. Because I have not had to block, shadow ban anybody in probably 2 months. Just try to, I'm not saying everybody has to be on their, altar boy behavior, but, don't go over the top with some of the shit that I read last week. That's just totally uncalled for. And I'm not this whole PC person, but there's a lot of people just trying to have some fun, talking about tonight's wrestling, and they don't want to get bogged down with these feuds. If you notice on the hype for tomorrow's show I'm doing, I now call a lot of you out there the cast of characters. I always wrote Donzilla Army. I said, that kind of sounds militant. But I said, join Don Tony and the usual cast of chat room characters. So I thought that was a polite way of saying that some of you are pretty damn fun to watch and read. Just keep it cool. So anyway, Karrion Kross gets the win. I don't know about Damian Priest and SmackDown. I'm just picturing Friday nights, trying to see where that falls. I would like him more on Raw. I see him do stuff with Riddle. I can see him do stuff with AJ Styles. I can see him do stuff with some of the bigger guys over there. There are more people that I could see him have some fun with on SmackDown on Raw than on SmackDown. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Next week, we will have the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And next week, the opening round, one of the matches already announced is Breezango versus Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm feeling it, but, I don't know. Breezango, I just thought WWE did him dirty. They got those tag titles. You knew we were counting the days that they were going to lose it and get right back into buried status. See him in the Dusty Classic is nice, but they're not going anywhere. Let's be honest. So, another very long match, which was fun, but at the end of the day, and I say this with the utmost respect, it's Gran Metalik, WWE wrestler, Gran Metalik. Gran Metalik, believe it or not, I saw many matches of him before he ever went to WWE. This motherfucker can go, maybe not on the level of a Rey Fenix, but this guy, if he ever leaves WWE and has the opportunity to not only do the shit that this guy has not done and has it in the back pocket for a couple of years now, but has opponents that he could do it with, Gran Metalik could be incredible to watch. The problem is Bobby Fish is injured right now, Ken. Bobby Fish is recuperating from War Games. The problem with Gran Metalik is WWE has utilized the Lucha House Party as jokes. Maybe not to the level of Mexicals on the John Deeres going down to the ring, but, they're fun. Lucha, the thing, with the candy and all that stuff. They wear bright colors. They're about happiness. The Lucha House Party, everybody could be Lucha. Lucha is for everybody. Yeah, I get it. But the problem is WWE turned them into jokes. They turned them into clowns. It was more about piñatas, and posing than anything else. when they started doing the storyline with Kalisto, I said, okay, I can find this a little bit interesting. And then next thing you know, the draft happens and one goes here and the other two go here. And that's what happens when you use someone wrong for years and years and years. And you expect us to suddenly, oh no, but he's in NXT tonight. It's totally different. No. This was for the simple reason they have nobody to feud with Santos Escobar right now that would give a fuck for anybody. They tried Jake Atlas, it didn't work. They tried Isaiah Swerve Scott, didn't work. Leon Ruff, don't even get me started there. So it's like, okay, we want some type of high-flying lucha, and they also wanted something that would kind of be similar to some of the stuff you see in AEW. They wanted some high-flying action tonight. So they put Gran Metalik. That's the only reason why the Lucha House Party won on Raw Monday. That's the only reason why the Lucha House Party had a couple of wins in the last 2 weeks. Now it all makes sense. Oh, we'll give him a couple of wins on Raw. So this way, when he faces Santos Escobar in a couple of weeks and we announce it, fans will be like, you know, they've been on a winning streak. I could see him possibly take it. If it was up to me, put the Lucha House Party in NXT, but split them up. Let Gran Metalik do what we know he can do. We will quickly forget about the Pinata Lucha House Party shit and think, wow, Triple H is finally using Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado to the level that they should have been used. We would quickly forget about the last couple of years. But today was a fun match, but it was simply because they needed that type of a match for the show tonight. They had nobody that fans were really interested in to take on Santos Escobar. So we had Xia Li make her return. And, you know, they did this elaborate entrance. They have a mysterious, that woman, you know, very discreet. And Zaya's got new gear. I should have put some photos here tonight, but so much stuff going on. It was very hard to put stuff together. But Xia Li, man, you could see how cut up she is now, and she has been working her ass off. And she fought Katrina Cortez tonight, beat her in a minute. A lot of kicks. I will say that early on, when she made the entrance and she had the knives in her hands, you know, I got flashbacks of Glacier. You know, remember when Glacier would have those things? Like he's directing airplane traffic? But Xia Li was doing it with knives. I'm like, okay, that's badass. Xia Li looked great. Xia Li looked great. I hope WWE takes this far. Because you see, remember Kushida? Remember the vignette with his family? I didn't come this far for this. And then after 2-3 weeks, you know, nothing. She did great today. Let's see what they do with it. Bronson Reed putting everyone on notice in NXT, but he was really there to say that he thinks Rhea Ripley is going to win today. By the way, all the predictions that we did tonight were on point. We didn't get any match wrong. NXT tonight was very predictable. We had the last woman standing match next, and if you recall, we said, you know, this has got to be Raquel Gonzalez's night. And the only way she was going to lose is if something was forcing her down where she could not get up. And they brawled. They battled. They battled in the ring, outside the ring, in the back. They, I don't think intentionally, broke a glass door, and there was glass everywhere. I fucking laughed my ass off when Dakota Kai, you see her from like down the hall, and she's running with the Singapore cane, and she whacks Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley gets the upper hand and puts her in a locker room. Like, I was just saying, like, I wonder how many, like, wrestlers that never, like, went anywhere in their careers say, yeah, I can relate to that, getting thrown. I can't tell you how many times back when I was doing some indie stuff, not very good, but I could tell you at least 10 times where somebody was thrown into a locker. And that was probably one of the advantages of me being fatter, because I'm still fat, but fatter. Couldn't fit my ass in a locker, but people would get thrown like gym lockers. Some of them are that big. You put a whole duffel bag in there and shit like that. Dakota Kai, she shoved her ass in there and put, something in front of it. I loved it, man. But I tell you, tonight they really battled, beat the shit out of each other. Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley are very good friends. They're playing off on social media that they absolutely hate each other now, but you obviously see that there is definitely magic, and something that I have said for about 20 years now, that there's something subconsciously that when you're allowed to feud with somebody that you're very close with, it's not that you're not giving effort to people you don't know, but there's just something different when you are working with someone that you're close with. There's an extra subconscious push to deliver 200%. And you could see the chemistry that they both have. There was one point, Ken is saying, did one spot remind me of the Bam Bam Taz Buddies to finish? Not maybe. The thing is that when they went through the stage, there was obviously props underneath, for the visual and everything. So, yeah, in some way, you're talking about Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow. They had there was 2 spots with Bam Bam in ECW over the years. But Rhea Ripley, early on in the match, having handcuffs and wanting to handcuff Raquel Gonzalez to the chain area outside the ring, and Raquel Gonzalez just with all her strength pulls and rips the handcuffs and part of the mesh off of the fence. Now, obviously, a lot of that was pre-cut, so you imagine if she yanked and that son of a bitch didn't go anywhere, she could tear like limbs, muscles in her, tendons in her arms. But they really just tore the house down. They tore the house down. It was a last woman standing match. So obviously pretty much anything goes anywhere. They went through the announcers table. I don't know why they were so concerned with the announcers table having to be put back together like after the match was over. But at one point, Raquel Gonzalez buries Rhea Ripley under table, under chairs, and but Rhea Ripley was able to answer, I think, at 8 or 9. Dakota Kai, as I said, tried to interfere, but got beat down and then put in a gym locker, which I thought was hilarious. They start brawling back to the rampway area, going down towards the ring. There was a cool spot where Raquel Gonzalez had hit Rhea Ripley with a chair, but Rhea Ripley got the upper hand and put like a Texas cloverleaf on Raquel Gonzalez and then tried to use the chair by wrapping her in it. And at that point, I said, wow, that may be the finish. And I didn't want it to be because I thought Raquel Gonzalez needed to win more than anything. But she breaks it away. And then shortly thereafter, there was a scary spot. But if you go back and you watch it, the referee checked on Raquel Gonzalez right away and was told, she's fine. You had Rhea Ripley hit like a Death Valley driver onto Raquel Gonzalez against the LED panels up the rampway. And it looked like, if you remember Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon, King of the Ring, you remember when Kurt tried to hit the suplex through the King of the Ring glass, but Shane just like bounced and then went straight down onto his head. Not necessarily exactly the same, but when Rhea Ripley hit the Death Valley driver and Raquel just landed on her head, I immediately thought of Shane and Kurt Angle. But like I said, the referee came over to Raquel, checked on her. She was okay. She did not get hurt. And then shortly after, a lot of people are talking about that spot. It looks scary for a second, but she was okay, thank God. But basically, shortly thereafter, Raquel Gonzalez picks up Rhea Ripley and drops her they go through the stage and through a table. There was, you know, a lot of nice visual. I mean, we didn't get any special effects or anything like that, but both were laid out. And I guess for a minute we thought they both might get counted out, which, you know, that might have been accepted as well. But then the feud continues. I don't know if the feud needs to continue now after this. Remember, I still think that we're going to have 3 or 4 people take on Io Shirai at the same time, and Raquel Gonzalez may be one of them. But Rhea Ripley is laid out. Raquel Gonzalez gets up at the count of 8, and the match ends. And Raquel Gonzalez gets the win. I'm telling you, man, Raquel Gonzalez, I take pride that for the last 5 months, we have noticed her substantial progression. Shotzi Blackheart has developed substantially, but more in the popularity department, in my opinion. She's definitely improved in the ring, no question. And we did get Shotzi tonight in a match, which I'll get into in a second. But Raquel Gonzalez, you can see right before your eyes her development into legitimate. Seriously. Would not be surprised if Raquel Gonzalez is on the main roster by this time next year. So, while they're fixing the announcers table, we see like an entourage with sirens, like almost like an escort to the arena. Then you see Johnny Gargano celebrating in one of the vehicles, which was funny. Candice LeRae, the way, you know. And, you know, we think that, you know, that it's just to buy time. So they're still trying to fix the timekeepers area. They end up getting into the building. They hit the ring, and they're celebrating that the streak is broken. Candice LeRae gives Johnny Gargano a plaque that says the curse on it with a line through it. Austin Theory calls Johnny Gargano a superhero and has like a painting of the 4 of them as superheroes. And it was really nice painting, by the way. But then Shotzi Blackheart's music hits. She comes out with the tank. And after tonight, I don't think Austin Theory will be caught doing any adult videos, let's just say. Because Shotzi's up the rampway and they're talking smack to Shotzi. Austin Theory's outside the ring and Shotzi fucking nails him in the nuts with one of, you know, the dart gun that she's got. And I'm pretty sure those are foam, but it has a little bit of plastic to it because it needs distance. But she shot it and nailed him perfectly, and it was fucking hilarious. And somehow Dexter Lumis, by the way, who was the host, and it was funny early on because Dexter Lumis, I don't know if anybody noticed it, but he was wearing just like a black shirt, if I remember correctly, and he's by the production board. He pushes a button and some lights go on. He pushes a button and the lights go off. And almost like a bad cartoon, you see this giant handle with the letters off and on. And all you see is his hand. That's the picture floating around social media. And he pulls the lever down. And the whole place lights up. And it was cool. But you look at Dexter Lumis and suddenly he's got this purple suit jacket on and everything. I'm like, okay, so Dexter Lumis has magical powers now. But I like that. I like that. Dexter Lumis, I told you last week, he didn't have to say nothing. Just stare. That's all he needed to do. But I did get a kick out of how somehow he had artwork already done, because when Shotzi Blackheart did what she did to Austin Theory, you have Shotzi going at it with Candice LeRae a little bit, and then Kushida hits the ring. Kushida gets involved a little bit. And then here's Dexter Lumis with a drawing of a mixed tag match. Kushida and Shotzi Blackheart versus Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Yes, Austin Nance, Dexter Lumis still remains as my favorite wrestler in NXT. Still. Absolutely love what he does. I don't know how much further WWE will push him, but I'm enjoying it. It might be a little frustrating for him at some point, but he must also love to be able to do this and not have to beat up his body right now in the process. So, yeah, Wade Barrett also said, wow, he drew that fast. It was just funny because if you think about it, it's like, how did he come up with that drawing? It was not expected as far as TV goes. Almost like AEW advertising the Elite before the Elite got back together. So we get the impromptu match, and the funny thing is, for me, it was mostly like a comedy match than anything else because of the antics of the way. And as I'm typing in my notes, hard-fought comedy match, here's Shotzi Blackheart diving underneath Kushida's legs outside the ring onto Candice LeRae. That looked pretty damn impressive. Tope Suicida. And in the end, we had... a comedy spot. Now, it was a little goofy. Austin Theory is on the ropes, gets in the ring, and the referee not only doesn't do anything about it, she doesn't eject him. And this is all to set up a comedy spot. Gargano hits the ring again. Kushida drops Gargano head first onto Austin Theory's nuts. So Austin got hit twice tonight in the nuts. And then Kushida does a roll-up for the win. And I guess maybe this is going to set up now Gargano versus Kushida for the North American Championship. What did Ken say? Ignore him. Ignore him. I mean, that's not bad what he said, but ignore him. So they get the win. And now we get the main event. The main event, Kyle O'Reilly, Finn Balor. I know we talked a little bit about it early on. It was a hard-fought match. Remember, the last match they got won NXT's Match of the Year. Maybe because of the second time around, it didn't have that same feel to it. I don't think it was anywhere near the storytelling and the level, even though they did tell a story during the match. Working on Finn Balor's arm early on, Kyle O'Reilly's tied up in the ropes and Finn Balor knees him in the face, and Kyle O'Reilly, could his jaw be broken in return? I mean, I will tell you this. I don't know if Kyle O'Reilly will ever be NXT heavyweight champion, but I will tell you over the last 2 months, 3 months, because remember, Balor, the last time he wrestled before tonight, if I recall my math, 13 and a half weeks. So that's a little over 3 months. I think over the last 4 months, Kyle O'Reilly's NXT career has really solidified because I am guilty of it. I know some of you are guilty of it. Not intentional, but a lot of us always may have looked at Kyle O'Reilly as an afterthought. Very solid wrestler, but missing something that is not really going to ever get him to the dance, and overcome it. It's just something too generic about Kyle O'Reilly. And like I said, a takeover got a lot of Chris Benoit vibes, and I'm just talking about his in-ring career. His match with Finn Balor last year was freaking fire. That promo he cut last week on Balor, I thought was my favorite Kyle O'Reilly promo that I could ever remember. And it got me rooting for Kyle O'Reilly tonight. So even though Kyle O'Reilly lost tonight, it's one of those matches where I think he won. Seriously. And I like how Finn Balor kind of showing respect tonight to Kyle O'Reilly without extending his hand, without nodding in approval. It was a solid match, but in the end, Finn Balor retains. Oh, thank you for the kind words, Alpha. Thank you very much, my friend. But Finn Balor, towards the end of the match, it was interesting because USA Network allows him to go to 10:08, in case people haven't caught my show the last couple of weeks. USA Network is allowing them again to go to 10:08. So the thing is, we were at the 10:02 or 10:03 mark, And you need about a minute and a half after the match is over, whether, you could have somebody hit the ring, because we had some of McAfee's group, Pete Dunne, ringside, Undisputed Era, ringside, taking in the match. We had no interference, which was great. But you could see that we're starting to get to crunch time, and then Finn Balor hits what they tried to play off as like a liver shot or a kidney shot. I mean, it just kicked Kyle O'Reilly's side, but that was to set up the finisher, and basically Finn Balor took down Kyle O'Reilly, and I don't want to say it was an abdominal stretch, but he was stretching out his side area where he had just kicked, and Kyle O'Reilly sold it like $1 million. When he got kicked on that side, for a second you were like, he just really get like hurt, like inadvertently, but you realize it was to set up the finisher. And no coup de grace. You didn't need the 1916 or whatever it is. Just stretched him out, got the submission win. And obviously you have Kyle O'Reilly in the corner, very dejected, very disappointed. Obviously the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole especially, was disappointed because, they were pushing him winning it. Where Kyle O'Reilly goes for me, I don't know. Maybe Kyle O'Reilly eventually could go for the North American Championship. Yeah, few in the chat right now. Austin and a few others are saying they thought that he might have been injured for a second. But they obviously have some wonderful chemistry. I tell you the truth, I wouldn't mind seeing Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly teaming up once in a while. Obviously, it wouldn't make sense with the Undisputed Era still together as a faction. But, for the last put it this way, after 4 months of Kyle O'Reilly, the last 4 months, one thing you could say is, yes, he lost 2 title defenses. Yes, what has gone down, up until tonight. But I think if you look at Kyle O'Reilly from 4 months ago to now, Kyle O'Reilly is definitely taking a bunch of steps upward. So, bravo. Really nice way to go off the air. Now, as far as ratings, I tell you, it's an interesting night because Kenny Omega and Rey Fenix had a match of the year candidate. The thing is, I don't know how much fans would tune into Rey Fenix as a main eventer. And please do not take that the wrong way. I freaking love Rey Fenix, and I absolutely loved that match tonight. But I'm thinking that Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly may have been looked at more of the marquee match because if Impact Wrestling's Invasion storyline with AEW was that good, it wouldn't only draw 100-something thousand viewers for Impact Wrestling. And it really has not affected AEW's ratings. Yes, I know you're going to say we haven't seen Impact wrestlers show up in AEW, but yeah, when you're watching a show, you don't know if somebody's going to show up or not. So you're not going to say, the rating popped because Gallows and Anderson showed up. Nobody knew. People that were watching to see what the outcome was in the aftermath. They had no idea. Santa Claus or Pogo the Clown could have showed up, and fans would have had no idea. So, overall in the night, I thought NXT flowed really, really well. The Snoop Dogg stuff was comical and, lighthearted and everything. But, some of the matches tonight in AEW, were okay. I just don't know how much of a ratings grab it would get. So I'll tell you the truth. NXT has won a couple of ratings nights doing these special themed events. Halloween Havoc, and a few others. I'm not 100% sure that NXT wins in the ratings this week, even with the New Year's Evil theme to it, because I brought it up before. Karrion Kross has not been in NXT enough for fans in droves to be enamored with him. Obviously, I have a lot of reasons why I'm a big fan of Karrion Kross. That guy is awesome inside the ring, outside the ring, and you have no idea how good that guy is in real life. Trust me. But as far as an NXT superstar, he hasn't been there long enough. And his quarter-hour ratings have never popped. They've never popped. That's not on him. as time goes by, it will be put together. Damian Priest, I pointed out many times, has not popped numbers in NXT. So although that was the opening match, I don't know. I don't think in any way, shape, or form they outdrew the Young Bucks. So I tell you, I honestly think the ratings are going to be super close. If NXT wins, it will not surprise me at all. But I still think AEW will barely squeak it out. AEW, I think, will do, I would say, maybe like 840,000 viewers. And I think NXT will do about 740. I don't see them doing more than 100. Last week they did a crappy rating, obviously, with the Brodie Lee tribute. But I don't see them doing more than like 750. I mean, there were some big names absent tonight from New Year's Evil. So I still think AEW will beat them by about 80,000 viewers, 80 to 100,000 viewers. And again, do not be surprised. My prediction of a quarter-hour rating getting close to the 1.7, 1.8 million mark happens. It's going to happen. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a quarter-hour rating before the summer where it breaks 2 million. So anyway, so with that said, I am going to get out of here. Nice conversation for both shows tonight. I purposely left off New Japan because we only got a big outcome not too long ago today. So I'm either going to talk about it on Friday or I'm going to talk to Mish. If Mish plans on watching both nights for New Japan, then we will talk about that on Monday. Don't forget, Thursday night, I will be here, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, and anything goes, man. Anything goes. Q&A, live chat, discussion, whatever's on your minds. No topic is off limits. You want to talk about the Washington stuff today? By all means. You want to talk about sports, movies, wrestling? Thursdays, I want it to be whatever this is your show Thursdays. I sit back, whatever you want to get into, that's where we'll go. And I'll also pick the winners of the contest from 2 weeks ago. We'll pick two $50 winners. And then next week, I should have some announcements coming as far as things that are going to be added to this channel. One thing I will tell you is that more than anything, and this is going to happen in different ways, but more than anything, what I really want to build here, and I got a lot of this from Mish, because Mish, is more sociable, than I am. Let's be honest. I'm sociable on the shows, but Mish is very sociable outside of shows. And I really want this community to be something special, and I tell you, the vibe that you all had on New Year's Eve here was incredible. Friday after SmackDown was awesome. Monday was freaking great. Monday we got done in 90 minutes. And I'm not going to lie, I was trying my hardest to stay 90 minutes today, but I thought the Moxley rant deserved to be added some time. The continuing burial of Team Taz and a few other things, obviously. But, tomorrow is going to be a really good night. We probably end up having some really serious discussion about things, and, one thing from me is I'm straight shooting. I'll tell you how I feel, and there's a lot of things that you all feel out there, but are very afraid to speak out because of the criticism that you may get back. What happened today in Washington is a good example of that. We'll talk about that tomorrow, if you all want to talk about it. Tomorrow night at 9:05, I'm going to sit here with a cup of coffee with nothing in front of me except you. And whatever you feel you want to get into, that's where we go with it. Obviously, I'm going to see the overall, vibe in the room. But Ken terminated by DQ. I know. Austin Nance is really good people. That guy plugs my shit everywhere. And he's a good guy. He really is. Did Xia Li's entrance remind me of Steve Blackman? With the nunchucks, a little bit. I kind of got more of Glacier vibes. But I'm not making fun of Xia Li. I have loved the skits that they did. In fact, you go back and you saw that, remember the skits with the blood and the other stuff. I thought those segments were really, really produced outstanding. It was outstanding. You go back, and somebody has it on YouTube right now. Go search out. I don't have the link in front of me, but somebody put a montage together of all of the skits that they did with Xia Li and Boa. From, Boa not, leaving his house to going to that warehouse and, getting put underwater and being abused. When you look at it, after about 15 minutes of footage, you feel like you're watching a mini movie. And it is, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. The Xia Li vignettes that they did leading up to today, I thought was some of the best, well-produced build-up for someone that WWE has built up in years and years and years. There's a problem to this, though, and I brought this up before. The problem with this is they have put them through. Look, this, if I want to be simple about this, it reminds me of basic training. Back when I got kicked out of my house in '88, I was forced to join the Navy. I had no place to live, no place to go. I joined the services. I joined the Navy. I went to boot camp. I didn't survive. I got an honorable discharge. I saw a couple of people kill themselves while I was there. And it was physically and emotionally abuse. To this day, and I'm not shitting on the military. To this day, I don't understand why there's not crazy outcries on social media at the level of mental abuse they put on people when you go to boot camp. I mean, they just verbally, but here's my point. At the end, you get strong. I know it's a fucked up way to get strong, but you get tough. I like some people, some of you out there emailed me as recent as last week, like, DT, how do you deal with these people that backstab you and do this stuff online? Like, how do you just brush it off like no big deal? And I always give Frank Goodman, Mass Maniac, you all remember him. I always gave him credit for that. He taught me 15 years ago to grow thick skin. You have to have thick skin on social media. You have to have thick skin. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be trolls. There's always going to be people trying to, destroy what you have. And the more success you have, the more people. The guy, would troll big time himself, but he gave great advice as well. And he taught me to learn thick skin. Of course, things still hurt, but I learned thick skin. And what Xia Li and Boa were put through was a form of torture, if you want to go that far. But it's a form of torture that when you get pain to that extreme, you get a breaking point where you accept it. You accept the pain. You embrace it. It is your friend. It is not your enemy. And when you embrace it, there's a sense of calm. I don't know if people understand that. Firefighters, they're trained to a point that there's a sense of calm. And it's needed when they're doing a rescue or something like that. There is a point where you become one. And that storyline, those vignettes built them up to the point where they embraced the abuse. Remember? Enough. No, more, enough. They wanted more because they embraced it. Almost that they liked it. Now, WWE has to deliver in the ring. Because those vignettes have been so good that if they give up on Xia Li, especially after a month or two, it is going to ruin her WWE career. They have turned her into a monster. And I don't even like, the only thing I didn't like about her match tonight is I did not like how after she kicked, Cortez knocked her on her ass, that she like walked around the ring almost like maybe a little brain cramp, or I don't know what it was, but I would have just been like, no mercy. Show no mercy whatsoever. And you know what? I guarantee you this was emotional for Xia Li as well, because Xia Li's WWE career has been a little bit frustrating in the last year or so. So to know that you're getting this tonight and it's the build of something big, that's got to feel damn good for her. And for Boa as well. So yeah, Benjamin and a lot of you are saying it right now, they better do right. They better do right. And the problem is, we could speak loud and we could keep reminding WWE and we could be compliant, and they really don't pay attention to any of us out there. That's just the facts. That is the sad thing about wrestling. The only time they really get affected is when they're getting hurt in the ratings or in the finances or in buy rates and merchandise. And they get hit in the pocketbook. But, all right, everybody. I am going to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Once again, I stand up so you can see the full shirt. If you want to get this shirt, I have the link in the description area. EC3 put this out. Thank you again, my friend. All the proceeds go to Brodie Lee's family. So you can order it. The link is on the page. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to get out of here because right now it's 12:30. Feels later, but thank God we're not at 1 a.m. yet. But I'm going to do a little bit of editing, get this online, and then get my ass to sleep. And it's going to be fun tomorrow being up here at 9. So, we could go, however long we want, and it'll still be a fairly early night. And especially since I don't have to plan nothing, literally it's just, record, talk, and then call it a night. So everyone, before you go, as I say, always, if you enjoyed today's episode, appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you're a hater, give it a thumbs down. But post your comments about anything you saw tonight, anything I said tonight. And as you see, I'm always reciprocal on the comments. And that's pretty much it. So everyone, thank you as always. Much love. And Happy New Year. My God, we're only 6 days in. Does it feel a lot longer? 6 days in, and look at all the crap that's happened already. But, have a good New Year, and stay strong. Be safe, and don't forget, we have a thing called COVID still going on. So that seems to get, buried in the headlines a little bit. But there's just a lot of turmoil going on right now. So just do whatever keeps you as happy as possible, keeps your sanity. And, like I said, you're all invited to join me tomorrow night, 9:05 p.m. Eastern. I guarantee you, I have a feeling it's going to be similar to New Year's Eve. Yes, New Year's Eve we were celebrating, we were looking at fireworks and doing this and that, but we got into some really great, good convo. That doesn't sound right. Great, deep convo about various things. And, maybe some of the stuff that you're all dealing with, maybe you just don't have any place to have a release, or maybe have somebody say something that you're thinking, but you're just too nervous to say it online because you're afraid of the backlash. So, you know that, if I have to be your mouthpiece and let me take the bullet or take the abuse, so be it. If we feel the same way, I'll speak out on it. And, I don't think it's anything controversial, but, we'll have some great combo tomorrow. And, hey, if it ends up being mostly about wrestling, so be it. If it ends up being mostly about other stuff, so be it. Tomorrow's show, they're all yours, obviously. But tomorrow is yours in the sense that whatever you feel like talking about, that's what we'll talk about. So thank you, Psycho, for the kind words. Thank you, everybody. Checking out everybody's good. No fighting tonight. That's a good thing. And Friday, I'll read what Brodie Lee's wife said about pro wrestling and WWE, clear up some nonsense online. And I did see the footage of Brodie Jr. With, was it Mandy Rose? I think it was. No, or was it Liv Morgan? Before I go, everyone, because I don't want to leave the wrong name up here. I think it was Liv Morgan. I think Liv Morgan and someone else was wrestling with Brodie Jr., and they caught some of it on film, and it's beautiful. You know, Brodie Jr., and, you know, I'll talk about it on Friday. Liv Morgan, thank you very much, Austin. Liv Morgan, if you haven't seen it yet, just go on Twitter and type in Brodie Jr., Liv Morgan. Some pretty cool footage. Maybe we'll talk. I'm sure somebody will bring it up tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. But everyone, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great night. Much love as always. And I'll catch you Thursday or Friday or maybe Saturday. So everyone have a great night. And maybe a little piece of advice for the rest of today or tonight, depending on where you live. Maybe you don't turn on the news. Maybe you don't turn on the news for 24 hours. I watched it today for 2 minutes. I turned it off. So, all right, everybody, good night. Much love as always, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Be well.